So, Pam, once again, thanks a lot for taking time out for the small chat that we have planned. So, firstly, I'll shoot the question that most people have. So, WBC India title event. So, could you give us an update on the same, since a lot of people might be curious about what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, Rinjit, first of all, just want to say thank you for your time. It's been a little while, and obviously with the COVID situation, and hope everything's well on your side.
Yes, everything's going fine, thankfully.
Good, good, good. So regarding the WBC India Championship, right now, very much the focus is I keep an eye on the media, what the Ministry of Health and Welfare in India. And as you may recall from our first conversations, I'm very close to especially the Punjab government. And, right now the signs still seem to be that, India's heading towards a third wave. There's still around half of the population need vaccination. So, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. I mean, I know some people are doing events, social events, weddings, and so on. But I'm very much of the thought process that we will only do something when it's safe to do so. So myself, the WBC, the India Boxing Council. So that's really the latest update. I mean, we're all very disappointed because 1st of May should have been the inaugural WBC India Championship. We were very excited. A great card, especially the main event. I was so excited to be hosting the first ever female championship as well, with Suman Kumari versus Chani Mehra. And but listen, my first priority is always going to be the welfare of the fighters and anybody in attendance. So all I will say is, guys, stay tuned. At the moment, I'll say, Rinju, without really putting too many dates out there, I'm being sort of politely guided towards next year, maybe early March, February, March. I would definitely love to do something before the end of the year, but again, I've got to listen to the government and also the Ministry of Health.
Awesome. So one more doubt I think most people would have is, will there be any change in the fight card that was initially planned?
Rinja, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, some of the couple of guys who's scheduled to be on the 1st of May undercard have already had fights. I was at an event in Greater Noida on the 3rd of September, which you're familiar with as well, for punch boxing. And there was a couple of guys on there who had their debut. And you never know. I mean, obviously, I don't want to put a stop to any fighter. I don't believe in that. I don't want to put a stop to any fighter fighting on another promotion. And all I can say is, look, nearer the time, as soon as we can't say anything until we know we have a solid date in the book. And once we've got that in the diary, then we can look at what the card is. But I promise you one thing: it's going to be a great card, very strong. And we're still very much looking forward to hosting the WBC India Championship, especially the fight between Suman Kumari and Chani Mehra.
Awesome. So speaking of the WBC and IBC, so WBC India committee has been set up, and the WBC India has also released the rankings for August 2021. So what's your take on the whole development that has been going around behind the scenes regarding this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a big advocate for boxing in India, especially if it's done in the right way. We know how big it is globally. I mean, there's 500 million boxing fans around the world. But if you look at the major hubs like the US and the UK, I believe in system, structure, process. So if we can get it pretty similar, I mean, it's not going to change overnight, of course, but when you've got big hitters like the WBC, Bob Arum, Dana White, Eddie Hearn, all these guys who are interested in India, you've got the Indian Boxing Council here. I think everybody's on the right foot. Everybody's working extremely hard to introduce the same format we see outside. So I think it's great news, and and it also gives the boxers something to aim for. So when they see the ranking list month on month, they know if they're at number 3, they want to get to number 2 or number 1, and so on. So I think it's great news. And well done to everybody who's been involved in that initiative.
Awesome. So I understand that you have been investing your time wisely and observing the whole Indian boxing circuit. So what's your take on the whole thing, and like where do you think we are lacking when compared to the scene outside of India?
You mean in people who are currently doing events, or do you mean on the
As a whole,
whole?
as the ecosystem as a whole.
I mean, look, I am always going to be a big advocate for the amateur scene as well. Any sport, whether it's boxing, basketball, cricket, football, you have to, you have to give props to the grassroots. Whether they're 5, 7, 10 years old, this is when they first start out. And a lot of the coaches, no matter what the sport is, they invest a lot of time in these kids. So um, I think the common sort of percentage is 80% of their learning is done in grassroots. We take them to the next level globally, hopefully, and we add that extra 20% dimension. I've said it many times, and you've probably heard me say it in private as well. I always say to any amateur boxer or potential boxer, don't get taken with this professional tag. It's a dangerous sport. It's one that can change your life for better or worse with one punch. So, if boxers, if you're, when this eventually goes to air and you're listening, please, if you don't have good amateur experience, sign up with the Boxing Federation of India. And that's where you should do all your learning, right? It's like learning a bicycle. So we have the Ferrari, go and learn the bicycle, go and learn the scooter, motorbike, whatever it is. And that's always going to be my take, Ranjan. So when it comes to the setup of India, I'm very proud to say that I'm working very diligently with the Boxing Federation of India, because I actually love what they do and I support everything they do. So there's never going to really be a case. I don't think there's going to be a case where you're going to find a boxer on one of my events who's had zero amateur experience. So yeah, I think there's a long way to go. As you probably know, cricket seems to be the favorite in India. But if we look at the cricket setup and we just substitute, boxing for cricket, it's the same. Whether they start out on the streets in the local park, the under 11s, under 13s, under 19, that's really what we want in every sport. And that's what I want for the sport that I love, which is boxing.
Interestingly, you brought up that contrast between amateur boxing and professional boxing. So, do you think in India there's a tendency for boxers to lean towards amateur boxing more when compared to professional boxing?
I mean, it's hard to say because obviously I'm not born and raised in India. All I know for the last 19 months is that I've come here to promote professional events. I know that the conveyor belt of talent is going to come from the Boxing Federation of India, and that's what I want to see. I want to see us get behind the amateur boxers, the Boxing Federation of India, and us work very closely with those associations, AIBA, Boxing Federation of India, the WBC, the IBC. So when these boxers are ready to take that jump over to professional, where they're ready, LZ Promotions is there.
So you mentioned that we have a long way to go. So what do you think are the major differences between the professional boxing environment in India and the professional boxing environment outside of India?
I wouldn't say, I'm not sure if I did say that, a long way to go, but certainly when boxing's not been the main sport or one of the main sports, I mean, it's fair to probably say India's cricket mad, 1.3 billion, and they all, cricket is the main sport here. There are other sports that are creeping up. They're probably more regional, right? Like kabaddi and stuff like that, and football. But we need to, for the size of the population, we need to see more sports coming in and into schools and amateurs and then pro. I would say, really, from my point of view, the way I see it is, and the pandemic hasn't helped, Ranjit. The pandemic hasn't helped anybody. So I think really we've got to look at is, let's work with what we have, whether it's the fighters, the coaches, the nutritionists, the officials, even me as a promoter. I'm still a baby, right? compared to some of these guys who are doing great jobs. Bob Arum, Dana White, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, Frank Warren. These are some of the greatest promoters out there, Hall of Famers. So every one of us can learn from these guys, but we're not going to be able to learn until the doors are open international. And as you know, still, apart from certain routes, international flying in and out of India is restricted. So I think, I wouldn't say that there's a long way to go, but if we can certainly, once we get past the pandemic, if you like, and we can open the doors for people to come to India back and forth, I think that's where you're going to see India make progress in leaps and bounds, if that makes sense.
So if we look at the boxing scene abroad, we are seeing a lot of celebrity boxing going on. Like we see Jake Paul fighting Tyron Woodley recently. So what's your take on the whole situation there?
You know, I just think that it's I think it's great. I mean, it's bringing more eyeballs to the sport. You know, Jake, any person who gets into the ring has my respect. You know, I've been in the ring, and not on a great amateur level or professional level by any means, but even just sparring, when you get hit in the face or get a body shot, you know how tough that is. So when these guys are like Jake Paul, you know, he could just sit back and make absolute millions of dollars from his social media, right? Because he's a big media personality. But he's gone, look, I love boxing. I'm gonna train hard. In fact, he trains with a good friend of mine called BJ Flores, a former champion, and BJ's done a great job. And you know, he's putting his body through a 8-10 week training camp, you know, and he's calling out all sorts. So I think it's fun. I think it's bringing more revenue to the sport. It's bringing more eyeballs. So you know, the only thing is, I wasn't a big advocate for what I saw last week in Miami, which is was it Belfort versus
yes.
Yeah, versus Holyfield. Holyfield, Vando is somebody that I know, I respect. I followed him as a kid. He's a legend in the sport. You know, the former undisputed cruiserweight champion, the former undisputed world heavyweight champion, and for him to come in at the 11th hour on a 2-week training camp is, and honestly, as a 58-year-old, not just he didn't have any business to be there, but honestly, I've said it on my social media. I don't want to offend anybody, but the promoter, the boxing commission who allowed this to go ahead, that should never been allowed to go ahead, you know. And all the time we have people who are willing to put on these events. We're unfortunately going to see probably more and more of the retired boxers trying to come out for whatever reason, whether it's for the money, for the fame, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if you've got somebody who's young like Jake Paul, he's fit, he's putting in the training camp, then why not? And I think he's got a box record as well, right? He's got a professional record.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with that. He's putting in the hard work, the graft, as we say, and he's building a professional record. So, you know, good luck to him. Good luck, Jake. Good luck, BJ.
So do you think such a celebrity is boxing would benefit the Indian boxing scene? And if yes, like, are there any celebrities that you want to see inside the ring from India?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't really, I mean, within India, I've got to be honest, I don't really follow any celebrities. I don't really follow celebrities full stop anyway. You know, at my age, I just focus on what I need to do. But I'm sure there's plenty of Bollywood actors that we could throw in with, like, you know, some cricket players or something, or maybe a real boxer. But, you know, again, they're going to need some serious training, because if you look at some of my boxers, if you look at Amit Bangal, Bujarani, these guys have lived the sport since they were 5 or 10 years old. So they've dedicated themselves to this sport. So again, it's not something to be taken lightly. But can it happen? Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be great.
So before we let we go, we have a huge fight coming up in October 9 between Wilder and Fury, the third fight. So what's your take on the whole thing? And if you can give a prediction for that, like, what would it be?
Well, I see that Deontay's teamed up with Malik Scott. You know, Malik Scott is a former boxer himself. He's fought Tyson Fury. He lost to Tyson Fury, but you know, he looks at the sport in the right way. He trains his fighters in the right way. I mean, I believe Wilder's probably the first guy, but you know, if we look at some of the videos that they've released, it looks like they're really putting in the hard work at the moment. It's a shame that we didn't get it back in, I think it was July, right?
Yes, it actually planned for July.
Yeah, when Fury tested positive. It's hard to see how really Wilder's going to do anything different. I mean, I don't know if he's going to learn anything new in this sort of short space of time. I honestly see it going very, very similar to the first, sorry, not the first fight, the second fight. So I think Fury's going to come out again. He's going to put him on the back foot. It's going to make him feel uncomfortable. He's going to lean on him. He's going to use his size. And he's, if I may say, he's superior boxing talent. And I think we'll probably see another stoppage probably by, I don't know, round 6, maybe before. I think in this one, didn't Tyson, I mean, because of, obviously, we don't get all the links in India, didn't Tyson Fury say he's going to knock him out in round 2 or 3 this time? I know he predicted that in the second fight, but
I guess like not.
There's been a few others. Yeah, there's been a few other statements he said, but I don't disbelieve him. I think him and Sugar Hill is obviously the nephew of the great Emmanuel Stewart. So, you know, the Kronk Gym in Detroit. And I think, you know, they're probably, I think they're training in Morecambe right now, back home for me in England. So I think that's what they're going to be training for. They're going to be training for another knockout. And honestly, that's what I think is going to happen.
So in case Wilder wins this one, it'll be 1-1, considering the first fight went into a controversial thing. So do you think it will set up another fight if Wilder wins?
If Wilder wins, yeah, I don't know what the contractual obligations are. I mean, we know that there was a contractual obligation to have this fight, but I think they would probably have to go back and renegotiate a new one. It'd be interesting to see actually if Wilder was to win this one, what would his next step be? Because everyone wants to see this undisputed world heavyweight fight with Anthony Joshua. It's a shame that it didn't happen because of the contractual obligations between Wilder and Fury. And obviously we know, what's the date now? 15th. So in 10 days time, Joshua's fighting the former undisputed cruiserweight champion, Usyk. That's not going to be an easy fight by no means. And I think Joshua is very, very prepared for that. And I'm glad he took sort of extra time out, because if you're sort of almost preparing mentally and physically, you're preparing for a 6'9" Fury, and then all of a sudden you're told that you're going to fight somebody, you know, who's 6'3", 215 kilograms, southpaw, different style. You can't go straight into that fight. So I'm glad he's taken that time to get his preparations for Usyk. I think it'll be too big, too strong for Usyk actually.
The weight difference.
And I think, yeah, absolutely. So I see Fury probably getting his stoppage, as he said, before round 6, and Joshua, I think he's capable of getting the stoppage between round 6 and 9. I think we're going to see it. But hey, listen, I know you just threw in that curveball. If Wilder wins, who knows? But whether it's Wilder or Fury, you know, I would love to see that undisputed world heavyweight championship with Joshua.
So before we close, like, is there anything that you want to put on to the viewers that will be viewing this video?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just would say to people, please continue to stay safe. You know, if you don't need to, stay indoors, wear your masks, clean your hands, you know, keep sanitized. As you know, overnight as well, I think West Bengal now has gone into a night curfew as well. So there's still little bits. Kerala has high numbers. So I would just say to people, look, be well, stay safe, and keep tuned. You know, as soon as we have any more news on the WBC India Championship, Ranjit, we'll let you know, we'll let the world know, because, you know, we want this to be a big deal.
Awesome. So Parm, once again, thanks a lot for taking time out for this small chat, and looking forward to talking to you again soon.
You too, Ranjit. Then listen, I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep up the great work. I know you're covering, you're running around like a rabbit, right? You're covering MMA and boxing, and I think it's a great job you're doing. And God bless you, and thank you for taking the time.